This is the Chirpin podcast. My name's Matt, and this is going to be our very first episode of the podcast. I'm going to give a little bit of introductory to myself and this channel, and then we'll get into some Cardinals baseball. I'm 27 years old. My name's Matt, obviously. I've been a Cardinal fan since 2004. If I had to pick one Cardinal, my all-time favorite, it'd probably be Albert Pujols. I grew up on him. I live in the St. Louis area, have all my whole life. It's pretty much sums up me. The channel, however, what we're going to be doing is hopefully I'll be getting a podcast out every Monday. I'm hoping it's going to be pre-recorded on Sundays. I really want to try and release videos as well, just individual videos throughout the weeks in between every Monday, just to fill in the gaps. I also got a Twitter account. It's called Chirpin Birds Pod. You guys can follow me there. That'll help me out. I mean, as much as it would for you to subscribe here too. So I think we're going to start with a 2024 recap of the season. I think I'm going to start with the good. The bullpen was on point the whole season. Helsley was a lockdown, and I mean, honestly, that's going to be the key to the Cardinals' success in 2025. Let me bring up some stats real quick. So the Cardinals' bullpen last year was, like I said, led by the closer Ryan Helsley. Then we had Ryan Fernandez, Matthew Liberatore, Ryan O'Reilly. Sorry, Riley O'Brien. Messed that up. John King, Kyle Leahy, Steven Matz. Then we also had Kittredge and Jojo Romero. And I think Roy Croft was sprinkled in there a little bit. But our bullpen was locked down 7-8-9. I think there was a stat that I heard that after the eighth inning, Cardinals are leading. I think we would only lose one game out of like I think 60 or 68 tries. So we won like 66, I think it was 66 wins and one loss. And the only team that was better than us in that category was the Cleveland Indians. So again, for 2025, having a lockdown bullpen like they did in 2024 is going to be a key to success. Let's see another good thing about 2024. There wasn't much, so I guess I could get into Wynn and Burleson. So let's bring up Mason Wynn stats. So the 2024 season, he played in 150 games. On Baseball Reference, he had 4.9 WAR. He had 15 home runs, 57 RBIs, a 267 batting average, 314 on base percentage, and a 416 slugging with an OPS of 730 and an OPS of 102. Those are pretty average offensive numbers, which is fine for his first full major league season. Um, yeah, I mean the 102 OPS plus puts him 2 points above an average offensive player for the year 2024. So I mean it's not bad. His OBP could go up a little bit from 314, but I mean for a 22-year-old and his first full major league season, it's pretty solid. And his defense was spectacular. He had a 971 fielding percentage. He had 18 errors because of that arm of his, but he had 191 putouts, and like I said, that 4.9 Baseball Reference WAR. Okay, let's go to Alec Burleson. He had more um, impressive stats, offensive stats at least. Let's see. So yeah, Alec Burleson, he had a 1.2 WAR. So, obviously defense isn't a strong suit, and a lot of that comes from defense. But if we're talking offensive numbers, I mean, he played in 152 games, and out of those 152 games, he had 21 home runs, 78 RBIs. He had a 269 batting average, a 314 OBP, which is actually the exact same as Mason Wynn. He had a 420 slugging and a 430 or 735 OPS with a 104 OPS plus. For some reason, I was thinking he had better offensive numbers than that. I mean, he had pretty good production with the home runs and RBIs, but yeah, no, I mean, if they can build upon these years, that will set up 2025 very well for us. I mean, you can say that for all the youngsters, really. So, anyway, let's uh let's get to the bad because there's quite a bit of bad. I mean, from the starting pitching to the offense to even the defense. Arenado not playing to the best of his ability. Gorman and Walker taking a step back. I mean, all those things together really took a toll on the season. I was surprised in the production that we got from Sonny Gray. I mean, it wasn't like he was out there pitching horrible, but the home runs was an issue. Let's pull up some stats for Sonny Gray real quick. So yeah, he had a 1.8 WAR, Baseball Reference WAR, a 3.84 ERA. He had over 200 strikeouts, which is nice, and he had a 3.12 FIP, which is solid. His ERA plus was 109, so he was 9% better than league average. I mean, he had a nice, solid, like high two, maybe a three type of season. If we can get him to pitch like he did in Minnesota, I mean, obviously that would be a huge boost. And he had a pretty large strikeout rate. I mean, he had 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, so it was the home runs. He was, his home run was 1.1 per nine. It was pretty high. Not the highest in his career though. No, he had one season with 1.4 and then another season one with 1.3. So yeah, Sonny Gray, I'd mark that as a bad because we were expecting him to be a number one. Eric Fetty, I wouldn't say he was as disappointing. I mean, it was disappointing when he came over, and he wasn't what he was in Chicago, but he still had a 113 ERA plus pitching for us. He had a 3.72 ERA, which is solid, good 2 or 3. In total, he had like 150 some strikeouts. His FIP was a little higher at a 4.05, and his WHIP was a little high at 1.2. But I like the ERA plus out of him, and his WAR was high too. He had a 5.6 baseball reference WAR. So I'm marking him in the bad though because again, what we brought him in for, he didn't replicate. We brought him in for that 3.11, like being a number two behind Sonny Gray. That's another thing that needs to boost in production. Let's move on to Walker and Gorman. So bring up some Walker stats. All right, Jordan Walker. Okay, so Jordan Walker, his age 22 season, he had negative zero point 0.9 baseball reference WAR. He had 5 home runs, 20 RBIs, 201 batting average, 253 on base percentage, and a 366 slugging. And that was good for a 619 OPS and a 71 OPS plus. So 29% below average. That's not what we want to see. I could have gone my whole life without seeing that, to be honest with you. We need him to be better, a lot better. He needs to build upon that first season. His first season was solid. 16 home runs, 51 RBIs, 113 OPS plus, a 787 OPS, 445 slugging, and a 342 on base percentage. I mean, that's not bad, especially if you can build upon that. Walker was obviously a big issue because we were expecting him to be better in 2024, and he wasn't. Let's move on to Gorman because I think he was an even bigger disappointment, especially with what he did in 23, and then his just complete dive off a cliff in 2024. So, all right, let's take 2024. 19 home runs, 50 RBIs, a 203 batting average, 271 on base percentage, and a 400 slugging with a 671 OPS and an 85 OPS plus. Those numbers aren't as bad as Walker, but Walker played for 54 games. Nolan Gorman played 107 games. So he had a lot longer to flush that out and get into the groove. And that 671 OPS is horrible. So he has a lot of work to get back to his 23 season where he posted a 116 OPS plus and had an 805 OPS. That'll be another key in the coming and bouncing back in 2025. If Gorman can produce at or slightly above the level he did in 23. Let's talk about, I mean, we already kind of dove upon what needs to stay consistent, but one of the main things that needs to stay consistent is Helsley. That's because him being a potential trade piece and during the trade deadline in 2025, him playing good is going to be key because they decided not to move him during the offseason. So as long as he's playing good, you might be able to trade him, get some pieces back. Because I really don't believe the Cardinals are going to be competitive in 2025. All right. I'm going to get into the TV deal now. With the TV deal, it seems like there's a little bit of, I'd say, confusion. People don't really know exactly how it's working out. So I was just going to kind of explain that for everybody. So it's FanDuel Sports Network. There is a app on your phone you can get and is also available on Amazon Prime. So if you pay for Amazon Prime, you're going to have to get an additional $20 a month package to access the Cardinal games. But you can also get on their website or that app and purchase. There's packages that you can buy and you can purchase it and do $20 a month. Or I believe buy like a year. Let me see. Yeah, you can buy a year and I think it's $189.99. So those are the options that you have. I know like a lot of TV, like I said, only Prime is the only app that lets you stream it and you got to pay for Prime and then get the additional package. It's a lot of money. An idea I had myself was to use the Apple Mirror app. Forgot what it's called, but TV. I can put my screen from my phone to my TV whenever I'm watching Fox Sports Midwest. Or sorry, not Fox Sports Midwest. I'm stuck in the past. FanDuel Sports Network. Just mirror that to my TV, and then I'll be able to watch Cardinals on my TV. I've seen some people hating on the options. I think it gives people a good opportunity to watch the Cardinals. I was paying for a pretty much an entire cable subscription just for the Cardinals, and that was like $75. So if I can get the Cardinals for $20, it's a win for me. Some of the takes are wild that I've seen. I've seen some people say, I mean, obviously the good old this team isn't worth any type of money. Just more or less people just hating on the Cardinals, saying, "Why are you going to spend money on the Cardinals?" People like to watch the Cardinals. I mean, that's just what it is. Win, lose, people like to watch. And I don't think they should be hated for liking the Cardinals. I mean, if you have a problem with how they're spending money, then you have that problem. Not everybody shares that sentiment. I personally wish they would go out and field a better team, but I still want to watch them. Anyway, I'm going to move on and get into some of the Arenado stuff because recently it's been rumored that the Astros and the Cardinals have re-engaged talks, and I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I like Arenado's to stay. I think he's a good fit with the Cardinals. I believe he'll help this team win, and I believe we won't really get much back, if anything at all. I feel like we're kind of trading him to trade him. I'm in favor of him staying. If he gets traded, he gets traded. I was saying it was the best for the Cardinals going forward, but then the front office kind of backtracked. Well, we don't need to save his money. I mean, they backtrack constantly, so I'm not surprised. But Arenado could be a key piece to the Cardinals being competitive in 2025. And I'm not expecting them to be competitive, but if they want to be, trading Arenado is not going to help that cause. I don't think there's any ill will to the team. I think, he understands it's a business and that's just how it is. And, I could see him not wanting to be traded. He's getting in the groove of spring training. He doesn't want to mess up his training. I just feel like he would probably veto any trade at this point. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Arenado just because we've been over that ship. We already know that's the only headline the Cardinals have had the entire offseason. I want to get into these two spring training games that we've had. Um, they were ugly, ugly ass games. I'm not gonna lie, but they were baseball games. So let's take Saturday's game, first game. Cardinals came out swinging. The top of the first, obviously, it was a 1-2-3 inning, and it was the same for the bottom of the first. I think they got a single, but other than that, it was just. Oh, you know what? No, they had two singles, and there was a double play, and it was still quiet in the second inning. And then in the third inning, we saw Michael Ciani take that walk, but it turned into nothing. And it was a 1-2-3 for the Marlins in the bottom of the third. The top of the fourth is where the game started turning in favor for the Cardinals. So whenever Contreras got hit by that pitch, they substituted his legs for R.J. Yeager's legs. Nolan kept it going with a single, and then again Lars Nootbaar kept it going with the walk, and then Ivan Herrera obviously got that sac fly, and Gorman struck out. Shocker. So then Yeager stayed in the game for Contreras. Fermin remained in the game at third base, and then Ryan Fernandez took over. He walked one guy, but other than that, he got one strikeout and two groundouts. Or no, sorry, one strikeout, a ground out, and a pop out. Cardinals come up, 1-2-3. Marlins came out, and it was 1-2-3 again. This is where I thought the Cardinals broke the game open. It was in the top of the sixth inning. It started with Michael Hellman getting hit by a pitch, and then Yeager took a walk. Then Jose Fermin popped out. Matt Kopernak, he went and got a two-run single. Then Chase Davis drew a walk after a Chance Cisco strikeout, and Brian Torres walked as well. That brought in Yeager to make it 3-0 Cardinals. Then Nathan Church walked. And that brought in Matt Kopernak, sorry. Jose Barrio singled, and that brought in Chase Davis and Brian Torres, and then it ended with Michael Hellman as a fly out for the third out. Bottom of the sixth, Marlins come up, go down. Top of the seventh, same thing. And this is where it all fell apart for the Cardinals, the bottom of the seventh. So Bailey Horn replaced O'Brien and issued a walk. And then Bailey Horn decided to throw a wild pitch. Then he walked another guy. Then he gave up a single. Then he walked another guy. So the walks, I mean, you can't walk that many people. That's going to kill you. So they finally took him out after he got a pop out and brought in Rob Kaminsky. And he gives up a double, which brings Miami score from 1-4, and then gets Jacob Berry to ground out. But that brings in another run, so then it's 6-5, and then gets out of the inning. Cardinals come up, answer nothing to all them runs. Bottom of the eighth comes in, and it's still just a downward spiral for the Cardinals pitching. Gave up another run after another walk and another single. So now it's 6-6, and then gives up another single, bringing in another run, having Miami take the lead. And that was nail in the coffin for the Cardinals Saturday. Just a brutal loss, losing it in the end. And directly contradicts what I stated about them in the beginning. Whenever I said last year they were like 66-1 after the eighth inning leading. Well, this wasn't after the eighth inning, but they lost it in the eighth inning. Having a lockdown bullpen is going to be very important. Obviously, I don't take it too serious. I saw a lot of people on Twitter taking this loss very serious. I need to remind everybody that the pitchers that lost the game were minor leaguers. They won't be on the 26-man roster. We don't need to freak out about all that. Okay. All right. Let's move on to Sunday. Okay. So Sunday, got the first inning. Cardinals give up a single, but get that double play. They're of the out of the inning, obviously. Bottom of the first, Scott draws in the walk. I like Scott this game. He pulled out well, so he got the walk. Then Luke and Baker got a walk after getting two outs. Obviously, Nolan Gorman, and Alec Burleson got out. Pedro Paez walked, and that loaded the bases. But Sajasi unfortunately popped out. Houston comes up, Houston goes down, Cardinals come up, Cardinals go down. This is the third inning now, and it's pretty much the same story. Houston comes up, goes down, Cardinals come up, go down. And it's like that even in the top of the fourth. It doesn't really start popping off till the fourth inning. Paez starts it off with a ground out. And Sajasi strikes out. But everything that happens next draws or drives in two runs. So let's see. We got JJ Weatherholt, he singles on the line drive. Then we get a wild pitch. Then we get a walk. And then Victor Scott. Remember I said Victor Scott had a good game? Yep. Drove in a two-run single. Drove in those two runs. Helped the Cardinals out. Burley got a walk. But Fermin grounded out, and that was three outs. But unfortunately, Houston comes back and immediately answers with 3-4 runs. Cardinals come back and answer with a couple more runs to make it 5-4, highlighted by the JJ Weatherholt 3-run homer, which is great, especially in Oppo. It's a good indication of his power, especially at 22, and this being his first spring training game ever is impressive. Moving to the top of the sixth, Houston immediately takes the lead. That was the inning where they blew it open. Made it 11-5, and that was it. The game was history. Cardinals lose 11-5. Highlighted, or sorry, 11-6. I forgot about the Yeager home run. So RJ Yeager got a home run in the ninth inning. Yep. And the game was over at 11-6. Yeah, it wasn't a good game. Both of the games weren't great. I was hoping the Cardinals were going to be able to at least showcase some type of fight when it comes to keeping a lead. I know it's spring training, but we're Cardinal fans and we're hungry to see good baseball. And I mean, I'm not expecting a whole lot of it this year, but these two, I just hope that these two losses aren't a reflection of what's going to be this year. Anyway, guys, I think that's going to wrap this podcast up. Next week, I will cover all of the games that happen throughout this week. All right, thanks for watching. This is Chirpin Birds podcast, and we'll see you next time.